You finally work up the nerve to record yourself during voice practice. You hit stop, you hit play, and then...
Walk out the door, you see someone that you know, and they ask you how you are, and you just have to say
that you're fine when you're not really fine.
It makes you want to throw your phone into the sun!
Directly into the sun.
Sound familiar? If hearing your own recorded voice makes you want to disappear, especially when you're actively working on changing it, I want you to know that there are actually a few different things happening here. And once you understand them, I think it'll take some of the sting out. Hi, I'm Renee, and I'm a gender-affirming voice teacher. And this is another episode of Voice Cues from trans folks like you. Today, we're talking about why your voice sounds worse on recording than it does in your head.
I can't even think about it without cringing.
And we're going to give that experience a trans spin because there are actually layers to this that the usual, oh, everyone hates the recorded voice content doesn't address.
Cringe. What they need to mimic a fraction of our power.
We're going to look at 4 reasons this happens, and then I'm going to share some strategies for what to do about it, including one option for tracking your progress that doesn't involve listening to yourself at all. Let's get into it. Reason 1, bone conduction versus air conduction. Here's the first thing going on, and it's pure physiology. When you speak, sound reaches your ears in 2 ways at the same time. The first way is air conduction. Sound waves travel through the air and vibrate your eardrums. This is how other people hear you.
It's Mr. Science.
The second way is bone conduction. The vibrations from your vocal folds travel through the bones of your skull directly to your inner ear. And as they travel through bones, they spread out and pick up more low-frequency energy along the way, which makes your voice sound deeper and richer to you than it actually is.
Bones.
So the voice you hear in your head, it's a remix. Your skull is boosting the bass.
Boom!
A microphone can only capture the air conduction part, the same signal everyone else gets. When you play back a high-quality recording, you're hearing your voice the way the rest of the world hears it, without the skull boost.
metal.
No bone resonance, no added warmth, just the plain air sound. And this is why your recorded voice tends to sound higher and thinner than what you're used to. It's not worse. It's just more accurate to what everyone else has been hearing all along. I didn't know where to put this, but it occurred to me while writing this video that you can never hear your voice the way other people hear it. You can only hear it on recording, right? You can never hear just the air conduction.
Because it's always going to be mediated by the microphone.
By the microphone or by the speakers. That's why in the script I said something like, when you're hearing your voice with a high quality recording, you're hearing what other people hear. But really, you can never hear what other people hear. And that kind of freaked me out a little bit. Reason 2, the self-confrontation effect. Here's the second thing going on, and this one is psychological.
Boneless. No bones.
Your voice isn't just a sound. It's deeply tied to your sense of self. You've been hearing your own voice every day for your entire life, and your brain has built a whole internal model of what you sound like, regardless of whether you like your voice or not.
I hate it. I just hate it.
When a recording doesn't match that model, when it sounds noticeably different from the voice in your head, it triggers what psychologists call the self-confrontation effect. That unsettling mismatch between how you perceive yourself and how others perceive you.
And what version of Chidi is even real?
What happens here?
And this Chidi is an imposter.
It's the same reason many people find photos of themselves uncomfortable. We're so used to seeing ourselves in mirrors, which flip our faces horizontally, that photos, which show us as others see us, can look subtly wrong, even when they're perfectly accurate.
Oh, let's get photos.
I said no photos.
Your recorded voice has that same uncanny valley quality. You know it's you, but your brain goes,
"Oh, that's not right." No.
Reason 3, recording and speaker quality. This one is worth mentioning because it's genuinely a factor. A lot of us are recording on our phones, and most phone microphones are decent, but not great. Microphones, like everything else, have their own frequency biases. They tend to emphasize certain ranges and de-emphasize others. Your phone speaker does the same thing when you play back. So some of what sounds off in your recording is likely actually a limitation of the equipment you're using, not a true representation of your voice.
Place me on the table. I wish to flop around in a blind rage.
My editor T has given me the following explanation to add some context. Phone technology is run off a very old standard which prioritizes intelligibility over everything else. So classically, phones concentrate most of the frequencies in the center of the human vocal range, cutting out the high and low frequencies. However, these high and low frequencies tend to hold a lot of the subtleties of the voice. Cutting them out tends to make you sound kind of thin or off.
Not ideal.
Back in the day when you would call someone's landline and their like brother or sister or mother would pick up and you'd be like, oh, hey bud, how you doing? And then they're like, it's this person. It's because by cutting out those tops and bottoms, like a lot of family members have very similar mid-range.
It's actually fascinating.
Yeah.
Even expensive microphones can have a bit of a bias here. That's why male streamers tend to like this expensive mic, because it tends to exaggerate bass frequencies if you get really close to it. Plus, new phones use aggressive noise reduction technology, which often has unpredictable effects in environments that aren't very quiet. So if you are using a phone, try to use it in a quiet location and hold it roughly the same distance from your mouth every time you record.
What's that word? Consistency.
Thanks, losers.
Another factor here is file compression. Some apps will compress audio recording files to save space, which may also cut out certain frequency ranges. All this to say, when listening back to recordings, it's important to take these factors into consideration and keep your recording setup consistent if you're going to compare recordings one-to-one. And we didn't even talk about headphones, but also that is a factor. Reason 4, the trans layer. Okay, this is the part that most articles about recorded voice cringe skip completely.
Fast forwarding, sir.
Everything we just talked about applies to everyone, but if you're trans, non-binary, or gender non-conforming and actively working on your voice, there is an additional thing happening that is specific to you. Your recorded voice might not just sound unfamiliar, it might be triggering your dysphoria. That's like the self-confrontation effect turned up to 11.
If you can see, the numbers all go to 11.
When you're in the middle of voice training, you're doing this delicate mental balancing act where you're simultaneously trying to monitor your voice, maintain your target characteristics, and just like talk. In your head, in the moment, it can actually feel like it's going well. And then you listen back and the recording reveals a gap between where you thought you were and where you actually are.
Mind the gap.
For some people, that gap is mildly disappointing. For others, it can trigger real debilitating dysphoria. It's frustrating because recordings are a very useful tool in trans voice training. Hearing yourself back is one of the best ways to calibrate what you're actually doing versus what you think you're doing. Recordings can help you be your own voice coach. But part of being a good coach is being supportive of your coachee. And that can be hard when the very thing that makes recordings useful is also what makes them hard to hear when you're dysphoric about your voice. So let's talk about what to do about all this. What to do about it? Option 1, get comfortable with recordings over time. I've been recording my voice for over 20 years. I'm a voice teacher, I made 4 albums, and I make YouTube videos. I've heard myself back thousands of times at this point. And I genuinely don't cringe when I hear my recorded voice anymore. Not because my voice is the best voice ever, but because I've heard it so many times that it just sounds like me now. The version of me that exists in recordings is familiar.
Well, she sort of fades into the background after a while, like a smoke alarm.
That familiarity is available to you too. It just takes repetition. The way I'd suggest building it, start small. Record 1 sentence, don't listen back right away if you're not ready. Just get used to the act of recording itself. Over time, when you do start listening back, try to approach it more like a researcher than a critic. Not, ugh, terrible, but okay, what's actually happening here? What do I notice?
Why don't you offer some constructive criticism?
The goal isn't to love every recording. The goal is for it to stop feeling like an ambush. Option 2, record without listening back. So here's a middle ground option that I genuinely love. Record yourself without committing to listening back. If the thought of hearing yourself is too much right now, you can still hit record during practice and just save the file. Don't open it. Label it with the date and put it in a folder.
Folder.
One day, when you're ready, when you've made more progress, or when you're feeling more settled, those recordings will be there. And hearing early recordings from a place of more distance and more growth can be genuinely moving. You might hear things that surprised you and progress you didn't know you were making. You're essentially leaving a letter for your future self. You don't have to read it today. Option 3, track your progress without recordings at all. And if neither of those options feel right, there is a third path that I made specifically for this situation. It's called the Trans Voice Emotions Evaluator, and it's free on my website.
Whoa, this place has everything.
Here's how it works. Once a week, at the end of the day, you ask yourself one question. How did I feel about my voice today? You rate that feeling on a scale of -5 to +5, -5 being extremely negative and +5 being extremely positive, with 0 being neutral. And you plot it on a graph.
Look at this graph.
Over time, you start to see trends. Good weeks, hard weeks, the gradual upward arc of someone who's been practicing consistently.
Consistency! Thanks, losers.
What I love about this system is what it doesn't do. It doesn't ask you to judge whether your voice is adequately feminine or adequately masculine. It doesn't connect your success to how strangers react to you. Though if someone does misgender you and that affects how you feel about your voice that day, it can reflect that. And then you can see whether it's an outlier in a larger positive trend. And it doesn't require you to listen to anything.
Why can't anybody hear my witty remarks?
It just asks you how you feel. And over time, those feelings tell you something real. You can grab the Trans Voice Emotions Evaluator for free at the link below. Conclusion. So to recap, your recorded voice sounds different because bone conduction has been boosting your bass your whole life.
Bones?
Because your brain has a mental model of your voice that recordings disrupt, because your recording equipment has its own quirks and limitations, and, if you're trans, because the gap between where your voice is now and where you want it to be can be genuinely painful to hear.
That just seems like kind of a lot.
All of those things are real. None of them mean you're doing something wrong. The recorded voice is not worse than the voice in your head, it's just different. And the more time you spend with it, the less alien it becomes. Let me know in the comments, do you record yourself during practice? And if you do, or if you absolutely do not, tell me why. I'd love to know where you're at with this.
Why do you want to know?
I'm genuinely interested.
And if you're looking for a structured place to start or restart your voice practice, check out my free masterclass, Change the Gender of Your Voice, No Hormones or Surgery Required. It's linked in the description below. That's all for today. I've been Renee, and I hope this helps. Oh, one more time. And actively working on your voice, there's rude.
Toot toot. I'll hug box you so hard.
Damn.
You'll take violence.
Like, God forbid I just want to be positive in this piece.
Yeah, I know.
Jesus. You want to throw your phone into the sun. Okay, one more time. Ah!